So I thought it was high time to make another video about me studying for a math test. This one is my last differential equations test out of 3 for the mini-mester, Summer A. So I thought I would briefly talk about how I have been studying and how I continue to study. I'm not going to study in the middle of this video just because I don't have time or battery life at the moment, but I'll just tell you what how I've gone about doing it. First off, what does this cover? There's no sense in me giving you, chapters and sections if you have a different textbook, but it covers Laplace transforms, the definition of it, so like the standard definition if we're talking about the integral from 0 to 100 of e to the negative st times ft dt, just the standard definition, and then also the properties of it, so the linearity. I don't want to say the distribution property, but if you have the Laplace transform of two functions, you can break it up into two different transforms, that kind of stuff. And also if you have a constant, you can bring it out much like an integral. Well, I shouldn't say much like an integral because it is an integral, but it still applies to Laplace transforms. Anyhow, it also covers inverse Laplace transforms. I'm just going to call them LTs. It also covers LTs for initial value problems, LTs for discontinuous functions, so unit step functions and window functions, I think they're called. That stuff is still a little hazy to me, and I got like 2 days, well, 2.5 days to kind of sort that out, but that's all. That's, part of the process. So I've got what I've covered, or what the breakdown for the sections that are going to be tested. I have how many questions are coming from each section. So all of those are 1 except for the definitions and properties. That I'll have 2 questions. And I know the point breakdown, so the one regarding LTs for initial value problems, that's going to be 24 points out of 100, so a quarter of the test grade. The rest of them are like 18 to 20 or something like that, 16 to 20-ish. And then I have all the homework problems right here on the same page for each section. And then I have a very brief outline, and all of that looks like this. What I've been doing is I've been going through and doing the homework, and in the process of doing homework, I've made notes of ones that are especially difficult or that I don't really understand fully or at all. Usually put asterisks next to them so that I can go back to them later and really sit down and look at that problem and get deep into it until I understand exactly what it's saying and how to solve it, until I'm comfortable with it. Until I'm comfortable with it. Part of this is a big part of this test, well, a big part of all these tests, but including this one, involves memorizing all of this. So not only do I need to memorize the function and its respective LT, I need to be able to also identify the LT and work backwards to be able to get to the function that created it. So it's inverse Laplace transform. And that's a big mistake I made on the previous test, is I knew how to identify the first half, but I didn't know how to look at its result and work backwards to figure out how it was gotten, if that makes sense. I was only looking at one half of a two-sided coin, and that kind of killed me. It didn't kill me, but it was severely hampering, and it kept me from feeling as confident and doing as well as I could have. So, lesson learned. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have note cards. They're all going to be on the same side, so some of them are going to be the function, some of them are going to be the LT that they produce, and I'm just going to mix them all together so that I can look at the function, recognize the LT, and then maybe that same LT will come up later and I can recognize its respective function and go through memorizing those. So there's like 1, 2, 3, so there's about 25 here total, so about 12 functions and then their LTs. Some of them are a little complicated, it's not too bad. They kind of follow a bit of a pattern, just like the forms of the non-homogeneous linear differential equations, but need to memorize them nonetheless. So in addition to that, I'll probably mix in flashcard work with doing more homework problems, because frankly I have so many homework problems that if that's all I did, I wouldn't have time for flashcards or any other reading the textbook or watching tutorials or anything. So in addition to putting asterisks next to problems I'm having trouble with, I'm also taking note of things I need to refresh on. For this test, especially regarding inverse LTs and finding their functions, a large part of that, a very common method for solving those, is partial fraction decomposition. which can be pretty straightforward for basic polynomials. But if you have, depending on what type of denominator you have, as you know, whether it's repeated linear or distinct linear or irreducible quadratic factors, all those have to be treated differently, and you have to be able to bust through it, because some of these problems are rather lengthy as it is, even if you know exactly what you're doing. And if you're stumbling, then that's more time it's taking. I'm not sure how much time I'm going to get for this and whether it's the same amount of time. I'm assuming yes, because I haven't been told otherwise. My professor has been really good about telling us what to expect for tests. So yeah, I'm taking note of things I need to brush up on: partial fraction decomp, integrals as always, improper integrals, and that's really it as far as like remedial stuff that I need to brush up on. Just PFDs. My professor is all about abbreviating things, which I'm thankful for, because I'm writing everything twice. And then I'm just gonna go back and forth. At some point I'm gonna get up here and do what I often do, which is try and conceive a problem, a general problem, like find the Laplace transform for this function, or find the inverse LT, and then try and write very general algorithms and step-by-step processes for solving those, and then try and memorize those, and then go back to more homework problems and try and apply those steps and try to refer to them less and less as I go through. I got a full plate on my hands. I've got maybe an hour or two tonight. I have almost all day tomorrow since I don't have math class, so I've got morning until 5 p.m. so it's a lot of time to devote to this. But my Spanish final is Thursday, so I have to devote some time to that, which I'll probably do Thursday morning or Thursday afternoon, because frankly I don't need a lot for it. It's strictly memorization, and the tests are very easy because it's Spanish 1. But anyhow, I still have probably a solid 10 or 15 hours I can devote to this, and at that point, I might feel good. But I'm going to try and devote as much as I can, and try and pull out a B out of this class, which would just make my life. So wish me luck on that. But otherwise, I hope this was beneficial. If you have questions, feel free to drop them below. I love talking to you guys and discussing this stuff. If there's something else in particular you'd like to see, feel free to, I'm open to all kinds of suggestions. But otherwise, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.